Folks, today I have the difficult task of determining whether or not BMW's S1000RR is a good daily motorcycle. Yeah, you might say, Yam, it's a super bike. Come on, 207 horsepower, committed ergonomics. You know it's not going to be a good daily rider. But I think you're wrong. Honestly, I've had the chance to put over 450 miles on this machine because I broke it in myself because this is a giveaway motorcycle that I bought basically brand new. It's a 2021 S1000RR with the M package. Check the livery, check the M seat, check the carbon wheels. Beautiful. Also has the premium pack with heated grips, cruise control, adaptive suspension. This thing is fully zooted to the moon and a giveaway bike, as I mentioned. Hit that link below to yamanube.co. Get yourself locked and loaded to win this machine. You're not going to want to miss it. This thing is just, it's a really, really nice bike. I mean, for a 21, it's brand spanking new, and it's just as good as any leader bike on the showroom floor. Now, what I want to find out today is, are these creature comforts good enough to make this a daily rider motorcycle? Is this something you could actually use on the daily? Let's find out, shall we? Let's start her up. Beautiful TFT. Look at that. I guys, seriously, BMW screen is the best, honestly. Fires right to life. BMW tells me I can't rev it past 8 because it's cold. That's fine. Got the heated grips on too because BMW heated grips are nuclear. I don't know why they make them so strong. I appreciate it. It's a bit brisk today, so I like the fact that I got strong heated grips. Let's see here. Look at that. I got hill hold too. I mean, it's got everything. What more could you want? So, what makes a good daily motorcycle? Is it the power delivery? Is it the ergonomics? I think it's a combination of a lot of things. So for me, a daily motorcycle, something you're going to use all the time, which I think people have different concepts of what makes a good daily motorcycle. I think some folks think if it's your Monday to Friday commuting machine, that's your daily bike. Other people think that, oh, if you use it, you know, regularly on weekends and a couple times during the week to run errands or commute with, that's a daily bike too. And, you know, here on the channel, we often like to say that a daily motorcycle is something upright, agreeable, has luggage, and will just run forever. You know, that stands to reason, right? So something like a Versus 650 is often thought of as the ultimate daily bike. It's cheap, it's easy, it's reliable, it's got luggage, it's, you know, everything you'd want it to do. But I'm kind of the opinion that a daily bike can really be anything you want it to be. And I don't think committed ergonomics like this are such a deal breaker, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think what it comes down to is, what are you willing to tolerate? Are you willing to tolerate your back being a little bit more forward and having to use your legs to squeeze the tank and lightening up your hands a little bit? Is that worth it to you for the thrills and the looks and the passion and the everything else that this bike has going for it? Because it's got a lot going for it, man. It really does. And if this look is important to you, then that's what you got to ask yourself. Because the look back factor is important. It is. I don't care what anybody says, motorcycles are emotional purchases. We buy these things because they make us feel a certain way. And I gotta be honest, this BMW looks really cool. And when I get off of it and I go do something and I look back, I'm like, yeah, I just popped off a freaking super bike, man. It's amazing. And then of course the BMW also goes warp speed, which is super fun. Even in road mode, it's pretty darn fast. What's really cool about today's motorcycle market is every bike you can think of has a more comfortable or more agreeable version of it. Even BMW's S1000RR, man, you can get this thing in a lot of different flavors and configurations. You can get an S1000 single R, the naked bike that's a little bit more, you know, upright and agreeable. You can get the XR, which is the adventure touring BMW S1000, which nowadays they have an M version of that too. And honestly, that's a bike where I feel like you're not giving up much of anything. That thing makes like 190 horsepower or something insane on a bike that's on stilts. So it's pretty nuts. But this BMW S1000RR in particular has a lot going for it in terms of its daily abilities. The fact that it comes from the factory with cruise control and heated grips make this an incredible daily motorcycle. I think the biggest compliment I can give this thing is the fact that I had to ride it 375 miles in one day to get the break-in done, just because that's the way my schedule shook out and we had to film a lot of content with this thing. And it wasn't that bad. Any other superbike, I would have said, oh my god, I can't believe I gotta go ride this thing for that many miles and just, oh, this is gonna be a punishing, horrible ride. But honest to god, this S1000 has totally changed my paradigms on you actually riding a bike like this around on the street. It is super agreeable. It is really not so bad at all. I've ridden lots of leader bikes. CBR 1000RR, SP Fireblade, R1, R1M, V4, V4R, RSV4. Pretty much all of them I've tried, and this beats them all in terms of the street ability of it. Really, it does. It is so agreeable, so easy to ride, and it's not just in the fact that it's got heated grips and cruise control. That obviously is a really nice feature. You cannot find that in an R1 or a Ducati. Like, this bike kind of stands alone for that. But it's also the fact that the handling itself, it's lightweight, it's 427 pounds. It just kind of falls over side to side really nicely, and it's just such a sweet handling little bike for the street. I say little, it's a 200 horsepower motorcycle. Yam, come on, get real. All the control inputs are really nice, really predictable. Pretty much exactly what you'd want for a street bike. I think the other thing that makes the S1000 a really nice daily bike is that this motor is so silky smooth that, you know, rolling along as I did when I did the huge break-in ride with it, which I went all the way out to the Sisters. I don't know if you guys know the Central Texas area, but from Austin to the Sisters and back in one day on an S1000RR, that's a big-ass ride. It's a big old ride. And I took country back roads the whole way, so it was really fun. But there were times where I was cruising with this bike, you know, top gear, sixth gear, just cruising along. I could barely tell it was on. And for a super bike, that is incredible. That is just out of this world cool that this motorcycle can do that. You know, the fact that you can just sit at 70 miles per hour, flick on cruise control, and just not even know that it's on, and then you still get this kind of performance out of it, mind-boggling. For daily bikes as well, another thing that I like to think of is what are the luggage options on this thing? Like, is it possible to, man, people are driving crazy today. What are the options for luggage on this motorcycle? You know? And, okay, S1000RR, so hard cases on the side, probably not wise, right? Probably, I mean, you probably could make it happen, but I don't think it's the best idea. I think a tank bag, though, a little something right here, and then maybe a small tail bag and a backpack. Yo, you could get a lot done with this thing, man. You could get a lot done with it. Could you go grocery get with it? I don't know if it could do a big grocery trip, to be honest, but that's why you'd get your other more luggage-appropriate motorcycle. I do think this bike would fit well for someone who has another vehicle, right? I think you'd probably still want some sort of car or something, but man, the fact that you can just cruise around with this and it's not awful is really impressive. Truly, really impressive. I wouldn't be surprised if BMW S1000RR people are kind of similar to GS people where they put on big miles with their bike. I could really see this motorcycle being used to go crush some big miles. Now, big miles is relative, right? I think that, you know, whoever owns this motorcycle would maybe do 200-300 miles for a weekend ride or something, but that's still pretty good for a super bike. That's a nice, like, 5-6 hour ride, depending on the kind of roads that you're on. Yeah, if you're just blasting on the freeway, you know, it's gonna be pretty boring. Unless you wick the throttle. And you enjoy it, because this thing's got a hell of a motor. I'll tell you that right now. I will say, one of the cons for it being a daily bike, and this might depend on your situation, you know, everybody's different, but I think that with a motorcycle that's this pretty and this expensive, I wouldn't feel super comfortable like filtering through traffic with it, or, you know, kind of wantonly riding it. I think about when I ride my desert sled. It's like a 5-year-old bike. I put like 12,000 miles on it. It's not worth that much money at this point. And, you know, if it gets dropped, I don't really care. If I bump into something, I don't really care. But this thing is a whole different story. If you got bumped into something, or God forbid you dropped it in a parking lot, which, knock on wood, I haven't dropped a bike in quite a long time. I think it's been at least 2 years since I accidentally dropped a motorcycle while riding it. I've dropped a few moving them around in the shop. Don't tell anybody. But it does happen sometimes where you get a little lazy and you're like shuffling a bike around in the shop or your garage, and it just kind of goes to take a little nap. That's kind of it happens, okay? Don't at me. But yeah, I think this bike would be, oh, look at that hill hold again. That's so nice. I think I'd be sad if I dropped it, or if I bumped into something while lane filtering. I wouldn't even attempt, not that I wouldn't attempt a lane filter with it, but I would be so supremely careful while lane filtering with it, because it is so freaking nice. I think another con for this as a daily motorcycle is just the fact that because it's really expensive, depending on parts of Austin that you park or wherever you live, I would definitely invest in a motorcycle theft deterrent system. I'd get a disc lock for this thing and keep it on my backpack or my tank bag at all times. One of those big beefy ones that you put between the caliper, not the little cord, because people can snap those off with a plier really easily. I would also put a tracker on it too, and I would definitely invest in insurance for theft as well. Just because a bike that's this pretty, parking it outside, you're kind of begging for someone to come and attempt theft on it. It's like the theft bike. Like, why would you not attempt theft on it? Given that it's also, you know, BMW, it kind of has that same cachet of a Ducati, and that people recognize that brand and are way more willing to risk it for the biscuit to try to steal it off of you. What's most impressive to me about the S1000RR is it doesn't seem that bothered at low revs. Whenever you're kind of just cruising around with it, I'm at like 3,000 RPM right now. It doesn't really care. There's a lot of superbikes, like the R1 and the V4 from Ducati especially. Oh my God, they don't like low revs. It's like, get it moving, get it going, and get it on the boil, because otherwise it just feels terrible. It's hard to explain if you've never ridden a really fast vehicle that doesn't want to be ridden slow, what that's like. But the S1000RR doesn't have that. It genuinely doesn't care if you're just cruising around at like super low RPMs. It feels the exact same as it does at the high RPMs, which I think is why some people, myself included, feel that it can be a little soulless, is just that it just works so well. Everything on it works like video game levels of good. Like, you can literally have this motorcycle, you can literally have this bike cruising around in low RPMs, and it just does exactly what it needs to do. And that feels really good. Like, it feels nice for a daily bike, knowing that I don't have to keep it on the boil. Like, I can literally shift up into fourth right now at 3,000 RPMs. It's going super smooth. It's doing exactly what I wanted to do. And that's super impressive for a bike with this amount of performance. I'm lugging this engine right now. I'm doing fourth gear, 2,000 RPMs, and it's fine. I think that's got to go down to the shift cam technology. I think there's a lot of wizardry going on inside of this engine block that allows for stuff like that. Because as much as BMW wants to say this is the Apex Predator track machine, this is the street leader bike, dude. This is just the comfiest, nicest street leader bike you can get. So nice. I will say, once you start kind of moving with it a little bit, it does do the leader bike thing where you're like, everybody around me is just driving so slowly, and I just want to get going. Once you get above about 6,000 RPM, you're like, can we just all agree to drive a little faster? Because that would be nice. think with the slip-on exhaust, it sounds great too. It's not too loud. Feels really nice. I think I'm becoming a BMW guy. God. I think I'm finally starting to appreciate what these bikes can do and why people really like them. They just work so well. The BMW feels a lot like a Honda, and that's a compliment, because I say the same thing about Hondas. I'm like, they all just work and they do exactly what you want them to do, which for some people they're like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for, Yam. Like, I don't want a bunch of character and weird bullshit with my motorcycle, and this is totally fair. I get it. If you want a sexy bike that's just gonna work extremely well, a BMW is a great option. And I think also the fact that this machine comes with a lot of advanced traction control and different rider modes actually lends itself really well to being a daily bike, because, you know, if you're using this all the time, you're going to encounter conditions like today where it's kind of cold and crappy and rainy, and, you know, maybe over a manhole cover or some paint, you're going to experience low grip, and having TC is going to be really nice. I think having those layers of safety is great for a street motorcycle. And they also work really well for track day stuff too. I mean, you use this motorcycle at the limit at the racetrack, it's going to protect you, it's going to keep you safe. And what's nice too is this thing gets lots of looks from people. I just saw a young man driving a car back there. He did like 5 double checks in his side mirror as I came up on him, and then as I rolled by, he was taking a look. So if you want a bike that gets lots of looks, man, and you could enjoy as a daily bike, I mean, come on, that's 1000RR, man, why not? One more point as a positive for this motorcycle as a daily bike. This has to be one of the coolest running leader bikes I have ever tried. Seriously. I've ridden the R1, the V4Rs, I've already told you guys all that, but this motorcycle doesn't get hot. It's phenomenal. Or maybe it's just set up in such a way that the heat is being dispersed and not onto me as the rider. And that's fantastic. I really like that. I don't think really powerful motorcycles should be super hot to ride. Although the laws of thermodynamics would disagree with me, I think that this bike works extremely well from a daily perspective, because it doesn't get hot. You can be on this bike all day long, and I've literally done that, and it works beautifully. I mean, you got to appreciate that, right? From a daily perspective. Look at this. Jesus, dude, the performance is unreal on this thing. All right, pulling in up here. Top of the hill. All right, folks. So, S1000RR as a daily rider. Man, I think if you're going to get this bike and you're actually going to use it a ton, right? Like, you're really going to put a lot of miles on it, and you're going to go out there and do big weekend rides with your buddies and stuff. Honest to God, it's pretty damn good. The only thing I can say is the ergonomics are a little committed because it's a super bike, right? But you'll get used to that. If you ride this bike a lot and you put some tank grips on it, which I'm actually considering doing just because I'm going to have this thing for a little bit and I am going to do a lot of riding with it, you can squeeze the tank, lighten up your arms, you'll get used to it. And for all the other sport bikes I've ridden, like proper fully furred sport bikes, this is hands down the comfiest and easiest one to ride. I'm not just saying that because it's the current giveaway bike. Seriously, there's no other sport bike I've ridden in this category that's as comfortable and as nice to ride as this thing. It is seriously a notch above all the other ones. So, folks, that's my opinion of the BMW as a daily motorcycle. Check out the giveaway down below on yammynoob.co. I highly encourage you to become a member. You'll get access to our Discord server, exclusive content. You'll be able to hang out with me on the live streams every week or so. And you'll also get the automatic entries to win this machine that you can assign to the giveaways, or you can pull them and hold on to them if you want for our next giveaway bikes and assign them like that. It's a fun way to get involved with everything we're doing here. Thank you so much for the support. I truly do appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.
I'm like a bird, I want to fly away. I don't know where my soul is. I don't know where my home is. Da 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 da. I'm like a bird, I want to fly away. I don't know where my soul is. Oh, hey. You're still here. Man, this is awkward. You should, you should keep watching Yammy Noob.